Morning, this is Brian. Today is Wednesday, April 10th, 2024, and I'm here in my home city of Santee, here in southwestern San Diego County, just east of the city of San Diego, east of Mission Trails. I'm here at West Hills Park. So, why am I walking through a park? What normally grows in parks? Shrubs and trees. So, I'm here to check out the shrubs and trees of West Hills Park. Earlier, and this video will be up soon too, I was on the other side over by Santee Boulders, climbing up a couple hills, and then botanizing and herping on the way back. So what kind of cool stuff am I going to find here today? What kind of trees and shrubs grow in this awesome little park? It's my first time here, so we'll both explore this together today. So we're going to start out right here. There are a few of these here too. This is the Mediterranean staple, the cork oak, Quercus suber. Quercus suber is a Mediterranean tree that has these really corky growths on their bark. And this is what's used for cork. And then we got a native California herp right here. We got a nice, beautiful male western fence lizard, Sceloporus occidentalis longipes, just chilling right here on the bark, looking at me, wondering what the heck am I doing, pointing that black, that reddish black thing at him, which is my camera. What a handsome male. Handsome male lizard. Saw a lot of those on my hike on the other side of the road. But look at the bark. Every several years, these trees, the outer layer of their bark harvested for cork. That's why this is cork oak. This is actually the cork, not just a common name because it looks corky, because it is cork. Quercus suber. There are several specimens planted in this park. And of course, tons and tons of Aleppo pines. When I first started walking under that colonnade right there, I just caught the whiff of the pines in the sun, the morning sun, and it was just a pleasant experience. And now I'm going to sneeze because of probably the pollen. The pollen from these pines is pretty strong right now. But these are Aleppo pines, more Mediterranean, Middle Eastern native trees here. And we have two closely related species of palms. One of them is a native, and one of them is native a little south from our area. So let's go take a walk and look around. So now we have some of these palms here, and I believe there might be a hybrid between these two relatives growing here as well. So I'm going to start off with one of the most commonly planted palms in the world, and that's the Mexican fan palm, Washingtonia robusta. It's native to, I believe, central Baja and on the other side of the Gulf of California. I forget what other state it's in, but it's actually very rare in its habitat, Washingtonia robusta. So it's very endangered, probably getting close to extinction in its native habitat. But planted, it's one of the most commonly planted palms probably in the entire world. You can grow it in warmer desert climates. You can grow it in subtropical areas like Florida. It grows very well in Florida, and it grows here in our Mediterranean and coastal sage climates. So this plant's pretty good for the coast, and it's pretty heat tolerant. Grows well in Palm Springs. And it's a very common staple of our California landscape, planted landscape. And there again, Washingtonia robusta. And its name robusta refers to its robust, tall growth, as this palm can exceed 100 feet in height. I've seen specimens in California that get over 100 feet tall, especially in Los Angeles, where they were planted in the late 1800s and have been allowed to grow and grow and grow into these really tall, majestic, crooked palms. They're pretty straight when young, but when they're very tall and very old, very crooked. So let's go contrast that with another palm species. This is, and you're going to look at it and think, hey, we're just looking at the same one. Okay. Let me get into a more favorable position and we'll talk about it. So I showed you the Washingtonia robusta, the Mexican fan palm. Here's our native California fan palm, Washingtonia foliifera. Usually a shorter, stouter, wider trunk species. Found growing native in our canyons from San Bernardino County to northern Baja California through Anza-Borrego Desert State Park, and also located in a few spots in Arizona. A little stouter trunk, a little wider trunk. And that's the leaves on the Mexican fan palm are a lot denser. The ones on the foliiferas are usually much less packed. Just typical foliage of foliifera. Now, normally foliiferas have wider trunks. So you can see a little bit wider, shorter stature, sparser, with a little bit of a grayish green cast. Whereas Mexican fan palms tend to be denser with more of a richer green color. Another western fence lizard. Pretty cool. So, this might not be a pure Washingtonia foliifera. It has the foliage of foliifera. Larger, slightly larger fronds, grayer cast, less densely packed. This might actually have hybrid in it. So that brings me to the next one, is that Washingtonia robusta hybridizes with Washingtonia foliifera naturally and purposefully, hybridized by nursery workers, because Washingtonia robusta, the Mexican fan palm, is faster growing, taller, and better adapted for living by the ocean. The California fan palm is a lot more cold hardy. It grows up to at least 3,000 feet in the mountains. More cold tolerant, more desert tolerant, but less seacoast tolerant. And they're both beautiful palms, so why not get the best out of both worlds? So these are often hybridized on purpose, and they do hybridize readily. Probably hybridize wherever they're planted together. So this one has the wider trunk. You can see here it's a wider, fatter trunk, and our robustas have much thinner trunks. So you can see the difference here between this Washingtonia robusta and this, which might actually be a hybrid between Washingtonia robusta and foliifera. So you notice these ones here have some intermediate characteristics. Trunks are a little stouter. You notice this one's much taller, but look how much thinner the trunk is on this Washingtonia robusta. And the richer green foliage, more densely crowned. Look at the stouter trunk on this one that has foliifera DNA in it. Now I'm not sure, I don't think this is a pure foliifera. This probably has both Washingtonia robusta and foliifera DNA in it. So it has an intermediate sized trunk, which is wider than robusta, a little bit narrower than its foliifera cousin. This one right here is likely a hybrid. And they call them Washingtonia filibustas, from foliifera and robusta hybridizing together. But more open crown is indicative more of Washingtonia foliifera. So these ones probably get intermediate in height between robustas being a much taller species and the foliifera being a little shorter. This one seems to have more Robusta in it. Richer green, less grayish color. More densely packed crown. Less densely packed crown. Intermediate sized trunk. So I'm about 90% sure that that's a hybrid right there. Washingtonia filibusta. While this is a regular Washingtonia robusta. This one has a stouter trunk right here. So this one I believe is also an intermediate. So this one's probably a hybrid right here as well. Hybrids are supposed to be pretty common actually. All right, so now we're going to move on to other types of trees and shrubs growing here. Here we have a southern live oak. Quercus virginiana, variety virginiana here. Now, it's late deciduous. In other words, it's shedding its leaves now in spring. The leaves are shedding off. They're turning brown and falling off the tree as the new leaves are opening up. You see the twigs are starting to open up new leaves? This is Quercus virginiana, variety virginiana. Pretty cool. So we already looked at a cork oak, and we looked at a cork oak and a southern live oak. Here's our native. Booyah! Coast live oak. Quercus agrifolia, variety agrifolia, with its male flowers, the catkins, and the new fresh crop of leaves here on this beautiful spring morning here. What else do we have? Here's another Washingtonia robusta, and here's what's likely another filibusta, broader trunk. Now on a Washingtonia foliifera, I'd expect the trunk to even be stouter than this, even a little stouter than this. I'm almost certain that this is a hybrid. And what do we have here? Now we got two of the oaks growing together. Another Quercus suber, cork oak, and another southern live oak, Quercus virginiana, variety virginiana, with acorn cups in it. So it must have produced acorns last year. So now I'm going to look around and see if I see any seedlings, because I have seen some of these. Southern live oaks that get acorns, and then sometimes the bushes and understory is teeming with seedlings, but I don't see any yet. Here we go. White mulberry, Morus alba. Another cork oak, Quercus suber. And another Quercus virginiana, variety virginiana. What else do we have here? This one seems to be I think this one's a filibusta with a thinner trunk. It's Platanus hispanica, London plane tree, just starting to leaf out for spring. And then Platanus racemosa, native California sycamore, well into its leafing out, because they leaf out much earlier here. There's another, looks like another filibusta, another hybrid Washingtonia palm. Seems to be most of them here are hybrids actually. Go explore up here and see what other kind of cool trees, shrubs we can find. Let's take a look at these beautiful Aleppo pines. Very vigorous Aleppo pines. Look at these. Catching a whiff of them. They have a very pleasant pine scent. Nice girth on the trunk of this one too. Very nice. There's some nice Aleppo pines here at the park. Gotta admit, it's pretty nice. Here's a younger one here. Look at this young one. Very handsome young tree here. Very handsome young Aleppo. A lot more piney shaped. If that's even an adjective or an adverb. Some more native California sycamores. Really nice. Japanese honeysuckle, Lonicera japonica. More Aleppos. Very commonly planted here. And then there's the Italian cypress, Cupressa sempervirens stricta, a tall, narrow form. The ones in the wild, in the Middle East and Mediterranean, are usually not quite as narrow as that. That's actually a bit of horticultural action there. What do we have here? Is this a Cleveland sage? I don't know what this is. No, this is not even a sage. I'm not even sure what this is. However, look at this stately small tree right here. Look at this beauty. This is a Melaleuca quinquenervia paper bark tree. Very beautiful. They also call it cajeput trees in Australia. Another Australian native related to the eucalyptus in the myrtle family, the Myrtaceae. Very, very handsome, narrow tree. And of course, the staple Southern California conifer, the Canary Island pine, looking tall and beautiful. Let's see what we got over here now. Okay. Well, we got some golden rain trees here. Yeah, looks like they're just starting to leaf out. These ones usually are not super early to leaf out here. Even here in warm Southern California, these are just barely starting to leaf out. Now this is Colearteria bipinata. This is the Chinese flame tree. I expected this to be paniculata. This has got bipinnately compound leaves as opposed to pinnately compound. So these appear to be Colearteria bipinata, bipinnately compound leaves. So these are Chinese flame trees here. This is a little closer to what I expect on a Washingtonia foliifera. A little broader trunk, but I still think there might be some Robusta DNA in these, because these are pretty stout though. These are pretty stout. This is a lot closer to what I expect for Washingtonia foliifera. But again, these might not be pure foliiferas either. These might still have some Washingtonia Robusta DNA in them. There's some more of these Chinese flame trees. Some of these have to be golden rain trees. They're very similar, except Chinese flame trees have bipinnately compound leaves, and golden rain trees have pinnately compound leaves. Those ones just barely started breaking bud. Now, these are a little later leaf out here in Southern California. A little bit later to leaf out than a lot of our other trees, which usually leaf out in March because of our warm climate. This one here, I don't think this one's even broken bud yet. Yeah, this one hasn't even broken bud yet. Again, we're going into mid-April now, so a lot of these trees will be leafing out pretty fiercely pretty soon. This one's already starting to leaf out pretty nicely. This one's just barely starting. Occasionally we do get some trees. We do get some trees out here that do leaf out as late as they do in the colder climates here in the U.S. So it's kind of weird. But for me, interesting, because it's botany and I'm interested in botany. Pretty cool, little Chinese flame trees. Alright, let's see what else we have in this park. Alright, so through this, okay. Lemonade sumac or lemonade berry, Rus integrifolia. So it's good to have some native flavor here as well. Ooh, look at this. The wilga tree, also known as Australian willow. Gasia parviflora. This is a tree native to Australia. Gasia parviflora. It's in the rue family, citrus family, so it has some relationship to oranges and grapefruits and stuff like that. Rutaceae. And here's another lemonade berry right here. Look at this. Got some native blue elderberries growing here too. Okay. Sign me up for this awesomeness. Yes, Sambucus nigra, subspecies Cerulean. Ooh. Look at that. Flower buds are already starting to form. They got a long way to go before they open. Because those flower buds, those flower panicles get huge. Oh, here's a conifer, native to Africa. Afrocarpus gracilior. They call it African fern pine. Here's another Colereteria bipinnata, Chinese flame tree. We've got some other stuff interesting growing around here. Another sycamore tree. There's an very interesting tree over here. Somebody's backyard. I think that's looks like a velvet ash, Fraxinus velutina, Arizona ash. Somebody's got a nice, healthy looking Arizona ash. They're starting to leaf out. That's looks like Fraxinus velutina from here. Gotta find out what species of bird makes that call. I always hear that every time I'm out. Never know what kind of bird that is. And here's a tamarisk, not native. Probably Tamarix ramosissima. Yeah, some of those tamarisks get pretty big too over here. Here's some more Colereteria bipinnatas leafing out. Leafing out here in mid-April. That one there is still just starting. And here's a type of very common ornamental shrub you'll see planted here in Southern California so commonly. And this is a horticultural variant. This is Pittosporum tobira. They call it mock orange or tobira. I believe this is from Asia, this species of Pittosporum. And Pittosporum flowers are often, delightfully fragrant. They call them mock oranges because their flowers kind of have a slight citrus flower aroma. To me, they might slightly resemble citrus, but they just have a very beautifully sweet fragrance to them. And those ones have the variegated leaves, so that's variegatum. And here's more Afrocarpus gracilior. More Afrocarpus. And these things don't get your typical pine cones. They get these seeds. They're so-called cones, or they actually look like drupes or stone fruits. They look like fruits, but they're not true fruits. They're just seeds covered by a fleshy covering. Yep. So they're in the Podocarpaceae. Used to be known as the genus Podocarpus. Yeah, pretty cool little park. Definitely worth coming here to explore and botanize. There's a lot of cool trees here. Never been here before, so I didn't know specifically what kind of trees I'd be looking at. Seeing. Very common shrub, Raphiolopus indica, called Indian hawthorn. It's not a true hawthorn in the genus Crataegus, but it's in the rose family, Rosaceae. And it's somewhat of a relative of apples, as its fruits are these bluish pomes. Here we go. That's what the fruit looks like, these bluish berry-like pomes. So I think these are in the Malii section of the rose family, which includes the toyons, quinces, pears, apples. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is in the same section as the apples and stuff. They're in full bloom right now too. Look at this. From white pink. And they do have a little bit of a fragrance too. I'm trying not to get my nose too close, considering the fact that there are just tons of bees all over these shrubs. There is a sweet fragrance emanating from them. Very nice. I'm gonna start getting ready to wrap up this video. Here we go. A few more a couple more cork oaks in the area. Look at this. Here's a handsome little cork oak right here. Usually these don't get super large, but you get some. I've seen a few pretty medium, decent sized cork oaks here in Southern California, like these Mediterranean climates. Whoa! There was a decent sized mammal that just ran out. I wonder what it was. Can't tell. It's actually about the size of a cat. Well, it might have been No! That was an Audubon's cottontail. I thought it was a small cat. Maybe a domestic cat. I'm a cat lover, just so you know. Probably don't make it extremely obvious, but I do love cats. I love animals, what can I say? But yeah, look at this Quercus suber. Cork oak. Right here. Nice, healthy, younger one. And here's a much younger one here. Here's a Quercus suber. Beautiful cork oak. And then, this is called the hop tree right here. Dodonaea viscosa. And I believe this looks like the regular species. Usually the ones planted here have a purplish leaf color, which would be purpurea. And this might have some purpurea in it. Some slight purplish tinge on some of the leaves. But this is it's called hop tree or hop bush. And I believe it's in the soapberry family, the Sapindaceae, if I remember correctly. And it's native to, I think, some of the tropical areas. But I think it pushes its way up towards Arizona as well. I think it might be native in parts of Arizona, or at least naturalized there. But it's planted here as an ornamental and sometimes landscape tree. And you get these hop-like seeds, little samaras. These little hop-like seeds, and that's why they call it hop tree or hop bush. Usually it's more of a shrub, but this one's trimmed to expose its beautiful shreddy bark. As you see here, beautiful shreddy bark. Pretty handsome one here. This is a very handsome specimen here, trimmed to look like a small tree. Again, it's usually a medium to quite large shrub, but the people who take care of this park have done an excellent job in trimming this to be like a tree. And you can see the flower buds starting to form, look like little panicles. And again, later on in the year, they turn into these samaras, these seeds that are lightweight and easily disperse. So, yeah, some more beautiful Aleppo pines. I just love these trees. They're so fun to look at and be around, and nice to smell on a warm, sunny morning. Okay, here's another Dodonaea viscosa. I'll go ahead and go over towards. It's more the purpurea form. Here it is. This is the purpurea form, more purple leaf form. This one's also handsomely trimmed to be tree-like as well, so pretty handsome, pretty nice specimen. There goes a common crow, or American crow. And more cork oak. Love to see if these got acorns. It'd be fun to try growing a cork oak seedling. It'd be fun to grow one of those. Never tried growing cork oak. Very beautiful. And here we are. These beautiful Aleppo pines just have that tangy, sweet pine resin aroma. It just smells so nice on this warm, sunny morning. And what else do we have over here? Here's a type of Myoporum. I believe this is Myoporum parviflorum. something, part of it's something. And here's a spreading wattle. I think this is Acacia redolens. These usually have a faint, sweet aroma on their phyllodes, which are leaf-like structures that take the place of photosynthetic leaves. These aren't true leaves, these are called phyllodes, modified leaf stalks or branch stalks. They take the place of leaves in very arid climates, kind of a way for them to conserve energy. And these have a very sweet, the phyllodes have kind of a sweet fragrance to them. Very pleasant. And here's that myoporum. It's more of a perennial ground cover. I don't know if it's woody based or not, but see here, they get some small white petal flowers with some speckling on them. This is a very common ground cover myoporum. I'm not sure if it's woody based. I'm not sure if it's quite suffrutescent, in other words, like a subshrub, but I think it's more of a perennial herb. I don't know if they get woody or not, but these are very common ground covers here in Southern California. Pretty neat to see. And right here, this beautiful grove of Aleppo pines with their fragrant scents. Looks like it's going to start getting noisy around here. Looks like people are getting ready to do lawn work. So this would probably be a good time to end this video with a parting shot of a nice wilga, Australian willow, Acacia parviflora, right here from West Hills Park. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for more content soon.